Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Yamik, and today I'm going to talk about healing 101 and healing from like childhood trauma, specifically with the parentals, the male parentals in your life. And mine comes from stepdad issues, but disclaimer, I am no way mad at my stepfather. I'm no way blaming him. I love the man. I've learned a lot from him, and I'm actually glad that I went through what I went through in my childhood, because now it's giving me the tools to be a better person for my mate. So lately I came to the realization that all the issues I've been having with, my past loves, relationships with men have stemmed from the relationship I had with my own biological dad and the lack thereon I had with my stepdad. But when I actually sat and meditated on the issue, I could not really blame my stepdad. I had to have some empathy for him, because he was only raising me and my brother from the way he was raised as a child and the tools that he was giving as a child. You know what I mean? Now imagine not growing up, not having your own father in your life, and not having a real positive image of other black men in your life to really look up to teach you how to be a man, or a father to kids, to be a good father to your kids, let alone someone else's children. You know what I mean? So my stepfather, kind of like I grew up with a single mother, and no father really around for the most part. Now, when my stepdad started dating my mom, she already had two young boys. I believe I was maybe 2 or 1.5. My brother was 3. So my mom met my stepdad. She already had 2 young boys. Now he got to be a mate to her, an automatic stepdad to her boys. So imagine that stress. This is back, in the 80s. Imagine meeting a woman, you love her. Then she says, oh, I have 2 kids, 2 young boys, and their father is not in their life. So he has to step in and be an automatic stepdad. I never looked at it that way. Imagine that stress. Imagine this day and age. Imagine me meeting a guy and me not making peace with my past, and a guy having 2 young boys. Now I gotta be a stepfather, me not even knowing how to handle that. Not to mention, my mother, she comes from a broken home as well. She wasn't raised by either her parents. She was raised by my great-grandparents, her grandparents on my mother's side. So her not having her parents around as a kid, that is a load of stress. I say all that to say that a lot of things that she probably couldn't handle, i.e. raising black men, because she never had an experience in raising black men, that she put a lot of stress on my dad. Me looking back, I'm like, wow, he had a lot on his plate, a lot. So not only did, my dad have to take on the responsibility of raising 2 kids who aren't biologically his, being in a new relationship, so much at once. I would have to look back and say he did the best he can do. He did the best with the tools that he had. You cannot expect someone to give you love and affection if they were never given that to them from their father. I would have to look back and say he did the best he can do. He did the best with the tools that he had. You cannot expect someone to give you love and affection if they were never given that to them from their father. I just want to throw this in there too, not to mention, I was a feisty little kid. And I don't mean feisty in the traditional sense. I mean feisty as in I knew I was gay. People say, how you knew you were gay when you were young? I was just very in tune. I knew I wasn't like other kids. I knew. And I'm pretty sure my dad knew too. Everyone knew. And the reason why I threw that in there is because imagine, again, back in the 80s, back in the early 90s, raising a kid who has identity issues, and you trying to teach him how to be a strong black man and not having the tools, you know what I mean? And trying not to have me coddled by females too much, but it didn't work. I was underneath my mom a lot. I was underneath a lot of females in my family, and females cannot teach a male how to be a man. So let's do the math. I had 2 emotionally unavailable parents who at the time were doing the best they could with what they had, and I can imagine how challenging that was as 2 young black parents trying to raise 2 young black kings. It was very hard and very challenging for them. And that's why I had to have sympathy for the trauma that I went through, because they didn't know any better. They were just taking on generational curses and passing it down. I had to also factor in my parents, and specifically, let's stick to my stepdad, his profession. My parents had the same profession. They were both correction officers. But also seeing that every day, seeing those black men in jail every day, then coming home and having to raise black men it's a stress factor. Being extra hard on me and just trying to make us succeed the best way they knew how, and then going to work every day seeing the byproduct of parents who didn't really care, or didn't really put, didn't have the tools either, but in the work. So as much as I disliked or had a regret or, disdain for him, I kind of like, thank you for being hard. Thank you for being you, because it kind of made me tougher. So as much as I disliked or had a regret or, disdain for him, I kind of like, thank you for being hard. Thank you for being you, because it kind of made me tougher. My stepfather was hard on me as a kid, but now in hindsight, looking back, he probably was hardest on me, and I'm one of five, I'm second of five kids, because he probably saw a lot of potential in me, probably saw the most potential in me, but he didn't have the tools to properly guide me in a nurturing way. He just was carrying along, generational curses. I can't say that word. Generational curses of be a man, be tough, and don't do that, and you're a girl, and don't be, yeah, you know what I mean? And thinking that hyper masculinity was the answer, and hyper masculinity and teaching your young boys how to be men is not the answer. Hyper masculinity is the curse. It's horrible. Now, my stepdad was raised by my nana, and she'd been my nana since I was one. I don't know anybody else, so to her, and it was so weird because for a long time I felt like she was my real grandmother. I mean, she is my real grandmother, but you know what I mean, by blood. But I've learned, just like you guys will learn too along your journey, that blood doesn't make you family. And just because someone's your family doesn't mean that they're blood. They can be a better family to you than your fucking blood family. So I don't want to stop cursing, Jesus. And my nana did the best job that she can do. Just like my mom, trying to raise two kids, trying to show them the way, a single black woman, And they did the best they could, you know what I mean? Without the tools. And my nana did the best job that she can do. Just like my mom, trying to raise two kids, trying to show them the way, a single black woman, single black woman. And they did the best they could, you know what I mean? Without the tools. So I had to look at it this way too. Imagine my stepdad growing up, being raised by my nana, a single mother. He had a sister as well, my aunt Pam, and them two growing up, their dad not around. Same situation like me, their dad not around. You know what I mean? Him growing up into adulthood, trying to navigate through adult life, and still not being healed from his childhood issues and trauma, and then meeting a woman. Now he has to automatically be a dad before he even gets a choice. You know what I mean? You love a woman, you take on what she has, and she has. So my stepdad, in a nutshell, was unequipped to, let alone handle two kids, and then you got a kid who has identity issues. You know what I mean? And back in the 90s, it was like, toughen them up, toughen them up, toughen them up. You know what I mean? That was the answer. I remember my nana I would go to her house, and I had an aunt who was my age, my stepfather's sister. We grew up like siblings, my Aunt Kim, but we're more like brother and sister. And I would go to my nana's house all the time, and I would play with Barbie dolls. Like, if your dad comes, you can't be. And still to this day, my nana shows me so much love, so much affection. I just love her to pieces, and she's never judged me. She's never questioned my sexuality, my lifestyle, never even asked me about it. Just loving and caring and open and light. So my parents got married. My stepdad and my mom got married. He is my parent. They got married in 1988-89. I was born in 84. So that was a real fast, progression. Meet the woman, get engaged, she has two kids, get married. So that too, I have to look at it like, imagine me in this day and age, meeting a guy, he got two kids, boom, 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 we meet, we get engaged, she has two kids, we get together, and then we have a kid too. It's like, I never thought about all that stress. This is gonna get a little deep, but I remember my grandmother now, not my nana, but my grandmother on my mom's side, my mom's mom, one day, I don't know what happened, I really don't remember the schematics of it, but she told me, she was like, that's not your real dad, that's not your dad. And I love my grandmother too, my mom's side, I love my grandmother, but this was a pivotal moment to where I think my behavior changed towards my stepdad, to where I became more, rude or rambunctious, because I was like, what? It's not my dad? What are you talking about? Like, huh? And I was young when this happened. I had to be maybe 5 or 5.5. I was really, really young. And I didn't meet my real bio dad until I was 16 and a half. So imagine all them years not even seeing your dad, not knowing what he looks like, and then boom, meeting. And I remember that day, like I remember like the shift happening. And me looking back, I have a very good memory. That shift is like, you can't turn around that shift. Once you tell a little kid something like that, so traumatizing, it's like, and he needs answers now. Now I need answers. Now in my mind, I'm like, wait, he lied to me? He's not my dad? And I'm thinking he's a liar now. Like, he's a liar. He lied to me? He's not my dad? And that's when the not trusting of men came in and thinking all men were liars. And then it progresses from there. Things fester, and things fester. And it's all blamed on him, but he's not to blame. Now in my mind, I'm like, wait, he lied to me? He's not my dad? And I'm thinking he's a liar now. Like, he's a liar. He lied to me? He's not my dad? And that's when the not trusting of men came in and thinking all men were liars. And then it progresses from there. Things fester, and things fester. And it's all blamed on him, but he's not to blame. Also, with boundaries between my mother and her mother, like, she should have never had the gall to even tell a child that. You know what I mean? Like, how dare you tell a child that? And I love my grandmother now, but back in the day, how dare you? Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? That was traumatizing for me. You know what I mean? Very traumatizing. And I can only think as a child, like, what I was thinking or what I was going through emotionally that was stuck with me throughout all my years, growing up, so teen years, So whatever issue my grandmother had with my stepdad, it kind of was irresponsible for her to kind of throw that in there because, it kind of like changed the whole dynamic of things after that. For real. That changed a lot. And then I had to think of, how does a man deal with an irresponsible mother-in-law who would say something like that to his stepchildren? So I had to think about that too. Like, damn, how did he feel? Like, how was he feeling? You know what I mean? Like, how did that make him feel? I know how it made me feel: confused, angry, hurt, more confusion. I can only imagine how it made him feel. And he's a man who kind of like harbors his feelings, doesn't say much, a man of minimal words, you know what I mean? Very composed. But I say all that to say, I had to feel to heal. I had to have empathy for him and his upbringing and the tools that he was not given. I had to forgive him. Because if I didn't forgive him, how can I even try to be with a guy? How can I even have a real relationship? In order for me to even have any relationship with any guy, whether it be non-romantic, a friend, a lover, a brother, whoever, I had to first forgive him, accept what it is for what it was, and move on. And I actually learned a lot from my stepdad, tools that I actually still use today in my everyday life. Like, my dad was very frugal. I'm frugal. I said it wrong the first time. He was obsessed with us doing chores. My house is cleaned every day. So little things like that. No, I don't tolerate shit. Neither does he. And other things, little things too, that every day I'm noticing like, oh man, I learned that from him. Or, oh wow, like he taught me that without actually teaching me. You know what I mean? Like little things, like street smart things too. You know what I mean? So. And that's why it's important to have forgiveness from your past, or to forgive your past, forgive yourself, and forgive the people who you think might have hurt you or were hard on you, because it's only going to hurt you in the long run. It's going to hinder every relationship you have, especially with men. If it's a stepdad issue or any kind of issue from your past, dealing with someone or something, a certain subject matter, you have to forgive. You have to move on. And just because you forgive doesn't mean you have to have a relationship with these people. Not saying I don't have a relationship with him, because I don't now, but a whole nother vlog for a whole nother day, and it has nothing to do with him. But, you know what I mean? So you have to just heal from your situations. You have to move on. You have to know that they did their best, and now he treats me so good. Like, now is like, you know what I mean? It's great now. And this is why when young men, especially my demographic, young black men, are going out in the dating field, start asking questions like, are you healed from your emotional trauma from the past? Don't ask about what they do for a living. Don't ask about what kind of sneakers they got in their closet. Ask about real questions. You should be asking them, are they emotionally available? Are you in counseling? How's your relationship with this person? And if it's not a good relationship, tell me why. Explain to me why. Let me know why. You know what I mean? Stop discussing all these things that don't even matter about Nicki Minaj and Cardi B and all these people that don't even fucking matter. If it's someone that you want to grow a future with and you see potential in, ask them questions that are going to help you in the long run, not questions that are going to make you satisfied for the here and now. You know what I mean? Ask the real questions. Ask the piercing questions. If it's someone that you want to grow a future with and you see potential in, ask them questions that are going to help you in the long run, not questions that are going to make you satisfied for the here and now. You know what I mean? Ask the real questions. Ask the piercing questions. Ask your partner, your potential partner, have they done their soul work? Have they done their healing? Have they made steps to do their healing? Because any other questions are irrelevant. Like, if you want a real relationship, all those other questions about this, that, and the third are irrelevant unless they've done their work. Because if your person or persons, whoever your situation you're in, is not healed from their trauma from the past, it's going to be a recipe for disaster. Even if you're trying to make new friends and associates, it's a recipe for disaster. Ask your friends too. Are they healed from their trauma from the past? Ask your friends. Because if your person or persons, whoever your situation you're in, is not healed from their trauma from the past, it's going to be a recipe for disaster. Even if you're trying to make new friends and associates, it's a recipe for disaster. Ask your friends too. Are they healed from their trauma from the past? Ask your friends. So I just wanted to share that with you guys to let you know that I had to forgive my stepfather at 34 years old. The age I am now took so long, but hey, if it takes that long, then make it do what it do. But I had to forgive him so I can live the best life. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And remember, like, if you don't want to be friends with someone that you need to forgive, you don't have to. Or you could. It's up to you. But you can still forgive and not associate. But forgiveness is key. Forgiveness is key for your sake of mind, or peace of mind rather. And forgiveness is key because once you forgive yourself, even that person on the other end will feel a sigh of relief and they don't even know why. So before jumping into your next relationship, think about, are you healed? Am I healed? Can we possibly help each other heal? Can we, do things that will benefit each other except for, superficial things? Come on, you guys. Us as black men, we gotta break these generational curses. We gotta stop these patterns that are not good for us. We have to do better. We have to take accountability and responsibility for our actions. So I just wanted to share that with you guys to let you know that I had to forgive my stepfather at 34 years old. The age I am now took so long, but hey, if it takes that long, then make it do what it do. But I had to forgive him so I can live the best life. Thank you guys so much for watching this. This is a very important vlog for me, Forgiving my stepdad was something that's been on my mind for so long. And I forgave him before this vlog, but actually getting it out and voicing it and getting it out of my, hopefully I can learn from this to start forgiving other people who have, I felt have not treated me the best, or what part did I play in that situation, and try to move forward with them as well and try to make it work for whatever it could be. All right, you guys, happy Pride, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh yeah, this is rose quartz. This is helping me like with my heart chakra. So beautiful, little rose quartz. I just got this. I love this. All right, you guys, later.